Congratulations to the member for Maprik for winning his by-election. Namakimol people below Maprik, lo here, lo house, below line, lo namatanay, New Ireland. We'd like to congratulate you, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. You come to the house too. Namakimol line, lo Maprik. We'd like to thank you too, lo side, lo question, lo ngen. I indicate through his questions some frustration in relation to the time it's taking for the rural airstrips, which is 4 rural airstrips underneath the headed 2 project rollout, is taking a lot longer than normal. And I do sincerely apologize for the delay. I'm cracking the whip as much as I can with the engineering department inside our National Airport Corporation to also focus on the 4 rural airstrips and get them up to tender advertisement and process so we can get a contractor in sooner rather than later. So my good honorable member, I would like to give you reassurance. I got confirmation this morning again that the tender for Hayfield rural airstrip airport is going out before Christmas this year. The advertisement is ready. It'll take about 6 weeks for the tender process to sort out all the bids of contractors or potential contractors, and we envisage awarding the contract around late February to early March so we can get the construction for Hayfield Airport happening around that time. So I hope me Kim confirming Lord good luck people Maprik Lord Isipik that we're expected or be expecting to see contracts down around March 2025, allowing us to finish this process of tender and selection of all contractors. Thank you.
We have a supplementary. Your opposition leader.
Congratulations, member. You represent your people well. On behalf of opposition too, I'd like to congratulate you and my people of Kimbe as well. Mr. Speaker, my supplementary is with regards to rural airstrips. Mr. Speaker, Niblatu Law Island, Nibla finishing work law airstrip to DSIT and a bit of help from our provincial government. We have completed a wonderful, beautiful infrastructure of the airstrip. We've completed the terminal. We have fenced the whole airstrip, and the runways have been rolled. But I don't know what's the delay. We've been waiting for almost 12 months to get the rural airstrip open. Our people have put on a lot of pressure on us. The DDA, the provincial leader, still waiting to open the airstrip. Mr. Speaker, my question to the minister is, please assist us. Talk to your department and the relevant organizations to fast track the opening of the airstrip, because from my own understanding, I think we've met the requirements. We've completed the terminal, we've fenced the airstrip, and we've got a contractor to roll the airstrip to standard, and we've got CASA to go down there on a higher trip down. And the CASA are happy with the airstrip, but the delay is still there, and our people are waiting. It's Christmas now, and our people would like to see planes flying into Kirwin Islands for their benefit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Civil Aviation.
Thank you. I would like to thank the opposition leader and member of Kirwin good enough question belonging. I would, in addition to our discussions that we've had outside of Parliament, my good leader of the opposition, I think it would be good if you could formally write to me in relation to what you have done so far and where you have think the process is actually being stalled. Hurry up, and I'm happy to stand with you to follow through and find where the blockage is and use a pinch bar to unblock it. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Wawaria. Honourable Member, let me interrupt you before you ask your question. I'd like to take this time to acknowledge the presence of the public gallery, the grade 7, 9, and grade 11 student of Malolo International School in the National Capital District, and the teachers of Manus Adventist School in Manus District, Manus Province, and Council of Women from Malati Ward number 2 in the Kairiku District, Central Province. On behalf of the Parliament, I extend our visitors a warm welcome to Parliament. Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Lo luksa lo people belong you lo wawarea. I think this occasion and good la true or sumatin tu kam stop long. Gallery na this la question by me asking related to education na feature long also. So be acknowledging too na to thank you to our student at the feature long kam stop long gallery na bad looking. RM. Question blooming without notice goes direct to the Minister for Education. And before I ask him the question, I would like to take this time to, on behalf of my people of Wawaria and Morobe, to congratulate him and commend him for the ministry, Education Ministry, and also thank Prime Minister for giving such a ministry to an experienced member to be part of your cabinet. Minister, also I would like to commend you that you come out in the media and you mentioned that you announced to people of Papua New Guinea that there will be no grade 8 in 2026, and there will be no grade 8 exams in 2026, and there will be no grade 10 exams in 2027. That means all our children attending grade 8 in 2026 will continue direct to grade 9, and from there onwards to grade 10 there won't be no examination. So that means all the grade 8s will go on to grade 9, and all grade 10s will go on to grade 11. This is a very good policy, and I would like to acknowledge the Prime Minister also during his maiden speech when he took the office this term. One of his policies is to leave no child behind, and that's the policy that support the Prime Minister's vision. My question is, are we ready? This is a good policy. I support it, but are we ready? What this policy implies means that all our primary schools will be automatically become grade 9, have to have the capacity of grade 9 in 2026. Do we have the infrastructure in all the schools to support that policy? Do we have the necessary teachers? Because there will be we need grade 9 skill teacher, grade 11 skill teachers. Do we have those teachers resource in those schools? We have only 1 year in 2025 to get our primary schools. All the primary schools we have in the district, all these primary schools will become high schools in 2026. Do we have the capacity? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the resources? That's my question to the Minister. Are we captured in this budget 2025? This is our education system. Because that will be a big issue when 2026 comes on. My second question, Minister, if we are not ready, can you allow for a case-by-case implementation? Like which district or which province is ready to implement that policy, they can go ahead and implement that policy, while others we can work towards implementing that policy. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. That's my question.
The Honourable Minister for Education.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I wish to thank the member for Warrior for his important question on an important topic. I also wish to thank the Maraberoso government for appointing me to this very important ministry. And since this is my first time to stand up and answer a question on the floor of Parliament, I also wish to acknowledge the people of Gumri and Simbu for their loyalty in voting me to Parliament. I also wish to acknowledge all the students and staff of various institutions present in the public gallery this morning. Let me go to the members present, honorable members present. The minimum grade education qualification in this country would be a grade 12 certificate. And in line with the Prime Minister's and the government's policy of leaving no child behind, we are opting to, we've already done away with the grade 6 school dropouts. Now examinations will proceed for monitoring and on other things, but like the grade 6 dropouts, we won't allow grade 6 dropouts. In 2026, we won't allow grade 8 dropouts. And in 2027, we won't allow grade 10 dropouts. Now, I've visited several education institutions or schools in the country, around the country, where our grade 8 students, grade 6 students, and our grade 10 students are still very young. To come out as dropouts in our school system when they are not actually being skilled yet. So there is a thinking behind trying to keep all our students in the schools until they are ready to go out and face the world. So basically, this is the thinking of this government. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure development in the schools would be a big challenge to us. But I wish to thank NEC for a submission I've made for $500 billion for infrastructure development in 2026, and they've approved it. NEC has approved it. So we are at least trying to move forward in education, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Education is very important. Every other thing falls upon education. When you have a very good education system, when you have educated population, a lot of the issues that we are facing, development issues that we are facing, social issues that we are facing would be addressed through education. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this would be my short answers to the member for Warrior on his important questions. But I think I've adequately answered the questions he's raised. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary, we have a supplementary question. Honourable Member for Kainantu.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My supplementary question to the Minister for Education. Myself and many other senior leaders here came out from a different system whereby they are still patients from previously from grade 1 to grade 6, and then from grade 6 to grade 8, and then from grade 8 to grade 10, from grade 10 to grade 12, and then from grade 12 to universities and colleges. And during the time, the students that were graduating from universities and colleges, there was some standard, and the standard of students that were getting educated, of which many of us are products of those that system are here, and many out there who are living in our public service came out through the system, and there was some quality in there. Recently, we have been having complaints about the quality of students that we are graduating from institutions in this nation, university and colleges. Mr. Minister, if you go and speak English with it, students at university now, they will respond to you in Fiji. the quality of education is so poor. In the light of that, this government in its wisdom decided to push everybody, all the students, regardless whether they are competent, whether they are bright, whether they are dumb, whether they are dull, all the way to grade 12. So what kind of results are you trying to produce here? It's the first question. Have you?
Honorable Member, we have a point of order. Honorable Minister.
Deputy Speaker, just to let our good member for Canada know, we don't have dumb students, we're just under average students. Thank you.
Honorable Member, your Minister, your point of order is in order. Honorable Minister, you didn't ask you to attend your statement.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important point. We are talking about the future of our student nation. And whatever decision we make here and the policy we drive in education will affect this nation. It is affecting the nation. Anyway, thank you, Minister. I would not have went down, but there are students, some who tend to work hard, others who take time to mature and develop in the minds. And so, my question is, has this policy taken into account the quality of students we will be producing at the end of the day? That's the first question. And the second question is, are there any other options or possible ways the government can come up with to drive or to put those students who are still taking time or who are under average students, put them through other processes by which they can be educated and become productive in future to this nation, then driving everybody to the same channel where in the end you will have best students, better students, and other average students, a mixture of all those that will very likely affect the quality of education that and the output of the students that our universities and colleges are putting out now. My concern, Mr. Speaker, is about the quality of students that we are producing now, which is receiving a lot of criticism. I don't think this policy is going to assist solve the problem. So those are my two supplementary questions. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister for Education.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I wish to thank the member for Ghana for his supplementary. To give you a background information, each year we have 120,000 students going to start their education life. First time to set foot in the classroom. Now, of this, at grade 4 level, we have only 30,000 students graduating from the grade 12 level. Of this grade 12, 30,000 grade 12 students, we have only around 15,000 students moving on to tertiary institutions. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have a big issue with school dropouts. So what we are trying to do is to minimize all the education qualifications in the country by way of pushing all our students up to grade 12 qualification. Now, it's not a one-way thing that we are looking at, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker. We also have several pathways, like food, like technical education that are available for those who cannot, who are unable to progress through, might take all those options. Food is also very, very popular now. The enrollment has gone from 75% to 80%, sorry, 80,000, 75,000 enrollment to 80,000. And then this year, probably next year, would be 100,000 students. Food is an opportunity for students to complete their, obtain a grade 12 certificate. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our past education system was geared towards getting our youths or our students for education, university qualification. And the population was low. So we didn't experience some of those things issues that we are facing in the past, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Our population has grown. So when we have all these students coming out through our education systems, the school dropouts, so a vast majority of our students are coming out of school dropouts, and we can't afford that because a lot of the problems would be created by these people. So yes, there is a fine line between quality of education and getting everybody educated. I think this government is responsible to leave no child behind, Mr. Deputy Speaker. We're trying to educate everybody. Some people learn quickly, some people learn slowly. But when we allow the examination system to force some people out, the system to force some of our students out, then we're condemning them as failures, which that should not happen. So as a responsible government, we bring everyone aboard through the education system so that everybody is given equal opportunity. We may face some quality issues, but let me also remind the House that we have a program called STEM program, science, technology, education, mathematics. And our students are doing very well in US universities. And we've sent some people over to India, and we've sent some students over to China. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, several of our students are training in Fiji to become pilots. So yes, they're fast learners in our education system, and they are slow learners in our education system. But our system, as a responsible government, should not allow our students to be labeled as dropouts in our country. They should all be given the equal opportunities to pass through, obtain minimal education quality.
Honourable Minister, we have a point of order. Opposition Leader.
Minister, announcement play and Butla announcement. Mr. Speaker, the problem is, government, you are very good in announcing programs, but there is no policy to back your announcements. Sometimes slow down.
Honourable Opposition Leader,
Mr. Speaker,
if you'd like to debate this, I will not allow it.
Why announcement when there's no policy?
You can't use the point of order to debate a statement, question. So, Honourable Minister, continue your response.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Yes, what we want to achieve is to provide education to all our children, not to force some out and allow a few to pass through. With the increase in our population, this is a real need. So I wish to thank the government, the Marape-Rosso government, for having the foresight in us allowing all our students to pass through to obtain the minimum education qualification standards in this country. Yes, I agree with the member for Kainatu. There will be issues with quality. There will be issues with quality. But I think we must give the benefit of doubt to our children to prove themselves, because there are a lot of opportunities made available for fast learners and slow learners, or together they can they can go through and you know, there's another point to this. And that is our students. When you have time to attend the graduation ceremonies or school activities, you will see our students are very young, at the grade 6, grade 8, and grade 10. And they're not mature enough to face the world. they don't have any skill yet. So when we hold them together in institutions like this, you mold them up, you build them up, you upskill them before they go out into the society. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Supplementary. Speaker, supplementary.
We have another supplementary. That will be the last supplementary to this question. The Honourable Member for Ambudi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. My supplementary to the Minister's statement is, it's good. The policy is good. We make sure that there's no students or children leave behind. But when we look at the students as a whole, we're looking at a big group of people. All of them are not fit to choose certain things. They are fit to choose certain things. I'll give one example. Indonesia is the third or fourth biggest population in the world. And there's no dropout system in Indonesia. Can we not look at some alternatives to look into that line to make sure that when the students come into grade 8 or grade 9 or grade 10, can we look at their skills and qualifications and fitness? Those who have academic backgrounds, they are leading, they put them in a separate group. Yes. Those who are they are essential in skills, identify the skills and put them into skills, so that they can grow up and they can get the papers and they are qualified to do what they wanted to do. Instead of putting together and pushing them up and some are not qualified. That's the problem we will face in the country in years to come. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Member, I could not get a question from your supplementary. It's like your commentary.
My question to the Minister is, can you not identify? Can you not identify other ways of letting the student going through and festing them into the system that they can be qualified and the employment skills that they will acquire?
Honourable Minister for Education.
Thank you again, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I wish to thank the member for Ambunti for his supplementary. Yes, the student says yes. We will have schools. It is the relevant and pathways for our school system. Before they obtain, for them to go through and obtain the minimum education level standard, which is grade 12. Each school and each province would be, or each electorate would be given the opportunity to choose what is relevant in their area or in their province to a skill that they will choose a skill, and then they go through that, so that at the end of grade 12, they would be given the certificate of competency in that area, in that skill that they've selected. I'll give you one example. I had an opportunity to visit Morobe, two schools in Morobe, the Bumayong and the Busu secondary schools. One of them is good land, big land, enough for agriculture. So they've chosen to go to agriculture, to get the students to do agriculture. One of them is a city school. They did not have the land. They do not have the land to go into agriculture. So they went into tourism and hospitality. Now, these are the sort of opportunities, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that would be available or that are available in our schools. So relevant pathways would be, is available now. And it's only for us to promote and see where our students who cannot go up to further education through the tertiary institutions, they at least when they leave grade 12, they must have a skill to fall back on. And while I have this opportunity also, education must not be seen as a way to getting jobs. Education must be seen as a way to obtain, knowing how to read, knowing how to write, knowing how to speak. And then, God bless us really abundantly with all the resources in this country, Mr. Speaker. we should refocus and realign our mindsets and the mindsets of our students to go back to the land if possible. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Talasia.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Before I ask my question without notice, I wish to convey my people's appreciation to the Prime Minister and the Parliament for appointing me as the Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. Yeah. My question without notice is directed to the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, and I say as Minister to take note. Deputy Speaker, statistics from Kimbe Committal and National Courts reveal that there is a backlog of committal cases filing up over the years due to lack of permanent resident judges in Kimbe. The number of remands awaiting trial since 2022 to 2024 sharply climbed to over 600. With more remands being accommodated every year, Lakimata prison camp, which was initially built for 200 inmates, is now holding over 600 remands. This situation was a significant health concern, security threats, and potential human rights violations. My question is, does the Minister for Attorney General and Justice have any plans to appoint a permanent resident judge for criminal jurisdiction for Kimbe to specifically address the pending and overwhelming number of cases? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the member for Salasia to ask a very important question. You have raised with me, I took it up with the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice on Monday, and we've agreed to appoint a judge to full-time to hear cases. So we believe that that answers your question. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Samarai Murua.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Logim Luksai, Kamlo people of Samarai Murua. This time, lo ask him across the way, no got pepper. Mr. Nap, ask him, I want to ask him, go along, Minister for Transport. Now, before me give him, ask him, I'd like to give you a general background in regards to this asking by me, make him. Now, there is an international highway that passes through all Habloni. Lo record only say that only write him name long and German passage. But me play locals where me play stable display up. Me play say that display passage and me go wana. Now this passage is currently used by all merchants shipping globally. Lo Salim cargo you go whether it's southbound to Australia, New Zealand, or northbound. You go along China, you go along all Asian countries. And that is used to enhance the economies of the respective countries. Recently, the government gave him look sabe, or I am give him look sabe along PSSA, particularly sea sensitive area. Lo give him look out, lo environment. Lo give him look out, lo environment. But you know how to look out long. You me as a country for its monetization or giving money come back long country and all people. Now ask him me go long Transport Minister. One time by God Luksabe, Judicial passage, so that it can be given its monetization status, apart from its environmental status. One time. He got plan of government by me giving this plan Luksabe come Judicial passage so that we can benefit from its monetary value. And so thank you.
Honorable Minister of Transport.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'd like to thank you, long Member Blo Samarai Muria, for his good question. We like Gimli background to solo Bekim. NEC in its wisdom has endorsed a recognition below territory below Jomat Passage, which is in the Middle Bay province, acknowledging that it's up inside the territory below Papua New Guinea. I have, as the minister responsible, raised it with the appropriate authority, which is the International Maritime Organization, in my visit last year in London, where I had the opportunity to bring the member for Isala with me, who's now the Minister for Petroleum, to witness the bilaterals, the discussions that we've had with the president of the organization and those divisions that under him that are responsible to facilitate the recognition. Up to now, we've yet to receive feedback from that particular discussion. There is also additional work that we need to do under the Department of National Maritime Safety Authority, NMSA, which is the key department that facilitating this recognition. And let me state this here very clear, that me as a Transport Minister, I want to see something happen where the government in Milne Bay, national government in Papua New Guinea, have some kind of control or authority over the passage, because that passage accepts about 9,000 vessels per year. So the impact on the environment is immense. A potential disaster out of this 9,000 vessels going through can impact the environment in a severe way. And I think it's important that we start now looking into it to try and have some kind of authority over it, but at the same time be mindful that we do not want to add on too much cost with the existing shipping companies that are using this passage, where they could potentially just transfer that price back down to goods and services that we bring in into the country. So it's a sensitive issue. We've got to try and manage it as best we can. But in terms of being in Papua New Guinea territory and in terms of Papua New Guinea having control over it, yes, I'm in support of that. We just need to follow the legal framework that's going to give us that acceptance and that authority, and we can then facilitate from there to see how best we could then align the structure in terms of benefit sharing and who will be responsible to manage the passage itself. Right? There's been some discussion on pilotage training facility where we end up controlling the pilot boats that access those ships through those passages, as opposed to now, I don't know who are they using and whether the ship itself and the captain is actually going through the passage on its own, which can be a bit of a concern when you don't have pilot guidance, because you got 3 kilometers on the right and the 3 kilometers on the left, where you got marine life or reef that's close by, and if they traverse through there of an evening, you want to make sure that your navigation system is 100% okay. So this is some of the concerns we have, but some of the things that we need to look into to try and have the authority back over the passage so we can have some control over it, but also be mindful we don't want to impede too much of a cost to the vessels on some of the import goods that we bring into Papua New Guinea as well. But we're looking into it. I would ask a good member to write to me specifically his query, and then I can get a response to him through the appropriate authority, NMSA, and we know exactly where we're at this point in time. Thank you very much.
Supplementary.
We have a supplementary. Honorable Governor for Morobe. What's your supplementary?
My supplementary is this, but before that, I want to state clear that in the international law,
We have point of order. Honorable Governor for Oro.
The Speaker, if you will allow me to ask for an extension. Many of us still have questions that we would like to ask. Yes. Since the time is running out, is it possible we can have an extension? Thank you.
Honorable members, Honorable Governor for Morobe, you wish him a seat. Honorable members, I would not allow for someone to raise a point of order and ask request for that until when you are given an appointment to ask a question, you can use that. But since then you have asked, I will accept that, and I ask the floor of Parliament. Those in favor for the extension of the question is that those in favor of the extension of the question time, please stand. Honorable members, you have the support of the extension. The question time is extended to 20 minutes. Honorable members that are asking a question, please, I don't want you to drag a introduction to a question. Just get straight to your question, and the ministers respond as 1 or 2 minutes so that we have enough question to be asked. Honorable Governor, we have a point of order. What's your point of order?
Thank you, Speaker. On this side, opposition is here, on your left-hand side. But we've been standing here for the last sittings. You are facing that direction only. We have plenty of questions to ask.
Honorable,
can you give us
Honorable member, your point of order is out of order. The chair have records of whom he have entertained on the question, and I've entertained your position much of the time on the question. So yes. I know where I'm moving and I'm asking who, so please let the discretion of appointing who to ask the question be with the Speaker. Honorable Governor, I wish you can make your supplementary short so we can get the extra 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the member for Samarai Muro has raised a very important question for this country. So very important. The sea between the Tewai, CRC, or Tewai and the CRC, hundreds of ships passing through every day. When I'm talking, it's happening now. And it's going through the sea that Samarai Muro member is questioning you. And in the international law, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have a right to compensation from our air, our airspace. That's a international air and economic zone air, similarly to the seas. Territorial waters, we are entitled to gain economic gains. Economic zone, we are entitled to get economic gains. In the high seas, the land, the country with seas and country without sea, we are entitled also to the international high seas. What is happening? It seems to me that we are not gaining anything. We're gaining anything. We are sleeping on our rights. And our people are suffering now because of the chemical and many things that we produce.
Honorable Governor.
Therefore, I'm coming to a question. Be patient.
Yes, please.
Be patient. When you are asking a question, I never interpose.
Ask your question.
My question is, Minister, in your humbleness, can I ask you, through the Speaker, to deliver a statement, a ministerial statement, addressing those issues so that we can help you provide debates, constructive debates, something you don't know yet, plenty of things. We can help you. Can I ask you to deliver a ministerial statement in relation to what the member for Samarai Murua has asked, and also in relation to the matters that I'm asking you? Thank you so very much, Acting Speaker, for your patience. Is that short?
Honorable Governor, you have come a long way to ask a short question, so thank you. The Honorable Minister for Transport.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would like to thank the Honourable Governor, Mai Maiblo New Island, for his advice. I assume he's advising me to follow a certain path, and I'm happy to do that. I got a bit confused because we started with passages and then we end up in the air, but that's okay. I'll take it all in because I'm Mai Blow me. I would like to ask the Honourable Governor for Morobe to, if he could write me as well, the specific information that he's hunting for, and I'm happy to make a statement in response and to cover both the good member for Samarai Murua and his Murua, and also the Governor's query on the Morobe Passage and highway in the sky that he was making reference to. Thank you very much.
Honorable Governor for Oro, you deserve to ask a question because you've requested for that.
Thank you. I didn't mean to interpose. Well, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and I thank my colleagues here for standing for us to extend question time. Deputy Speaker, I believe that 45 minutes is insufficient for question time. We should make a decision to make it a full hour, 60 minutes. You know, that makes sense. So, anyhow, my questions through you, Deputy Speaker, in relation to the closure of the Kokoda Track. The closure of the Kokoda Track occurred on Independence Day, 16th of September, and it has affected more than 5,000 people living along the trail, both in Central Province and in Oro Province. My questions, or series of questions, are to the Prime Minister, and they are in relation to that closure, or the closure of the trail. The closure of the trail occurred when landowners from Mount Kodu delivered a petition on the 19th of September to the Prime Minister in regards to outstanding fees or outstanding amounts of funds that were promised to them for foregoing a mine that was to have been developed in that part of Central Province. So, according to my information, an MOU had been signed in 2011 by Benjamin Philip for 50 million, and in 2013 and 2014, allotments of 5 million kina each were paid. But the landowners have patiently awaited for the rest of these funds to be paid. And they've sought advice, guidance from the relevant agencies, and they've gotten nowhere. And finally, they've decided to put a closure to the trail. Most of the landowners along the trail agree with this. However, it is affecting their livelihoods. The tourism industry is significantly affected. May I also add that I would like the Ministers for Tourism, Ministers for Environment, and Ministers for Department of Provincial and Local Level Government to also take note. The question is this: what will the government do about this so that they can attend to the concerns of the landowners and meet this promise or this undertaking? It may have been by a former government or previous government, but it was still an undertaking, and the landowners await till now patiently for the rest of this 40 million to be paid. What actions will the government undertake so that the trail can be opened and the tourism industry can continue and the 5,000 plus people living along the trail can be able to earn a living from these activities? Those are my questions, Deputy Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mitok thank you, Deputy Speaker, Iholim Sia, in your absence. I want to appreciate the question raised by Governor of Oro. Kokoda Track is an important national site that continues to attract international visits. Our country has limitations in tourist attractions. Despite the vast potential we have, Kokoda remains our #1 tourist hotspot to date lately. I want to confirm through this question that a petition was submitted in for government to honor an outstanding commitment of 2011, if I'm not wrong, that we must pay up to 50 million kina for the landowners of Kodu as a special potential mine area in the mountains of Owen Stanley Range. Most of the mountain peak and the range specific area is called Kodu. Because of the importance of Kokoda Track and the need for preservation, government then and Australian government then also did agree to preserve the site as a site of national heritage and an important conservation, important tourism and preservation site. So in that spirit and policy, the landowners of Kodu on the central side agreed to forego their rights to benefit from a potential mine and for the area to be kept as a reserved reservation. And that has been outstanding since 2011, I think, and unfortunately the balance of 40 million was not paid since then. Unbeknown to us, it has been amidst us. And in September 19th, that petition was received. It's being processed through the system. I want to inform and we did send word to the landowners from the central side that the government system is processing that. The continuous blockage benefits no one. In fact, tourists who travel on the road as an immediate spin-off to the locals, both on the central side and the Oro side. Mr. Speaker, I had the pleasure of walking the track, and if you know what it is, you climb up the step in Parliament, and if you walk up 4 flights, in most of the walk is about in between 30 to 45 degree gradient in the climb it is. But Australians didn't walk. I bumped into that morning, that 18 hours of walk on the track. We passed by or walking with over 400 Australians who walked through that. And a carrier is paid about anywhere between 200 to 300 up to 500 for a bag carry. The villages along the way will participate in selling of artifacts, food, as well as the care and hospitality along the track, also as some earnings. So I want to, through this question, appeal to my people from who in and around Kodu. I know most of them in my days associating with the Double Warrior team in Port Moresby. They know me too. And I want to inform all of them through this conversation. Just because the Prime Minister knows you doesn't mean I will break laws. We process it through the system. We process it through the system to check for relevant allocations, and we are looking to staging the payment of the 40 million into time, including something on this side of 2024. So I want to ask through this question to my people on the Koyari side. You are immediately feeling the pinch of the shutdown, as well as your cousins on the other side of the mountain feeling the pinch of the shutdown. Government is not going to run away or go away. It's an obligation that was made in 2011, and we intend to honor this obligation. If you are listening to this question, and needless to name names because you're not here, all of you know who you are. You know me, I know all of you too. I ask you, open the track. Government will find some money to honor you in the commitments that has been outstanding since then. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Governor of the Southern Highlands.
Before me ask him a question without notice, me look sabalo you, thank you come, so in face na you me stop on time. So good plan. My question without notice is directed to the very good Minister for Higher Education. If you want me to put it in writing, I'm prepared to put it in writing, but since I'm given the opportunity to ask, I will ask. That's in relation to the statistics given by your counterpart, the Education Minister. 120,000 student enrollment every year, and that's more likely to increase given the high population growth rate. And then he also indicated to the country that every year we have 30,000 grade 12s coming out, and on the basis of that, our tertiary institutions, including teachers' college, universities, are able to take up to 15,000. So where do we place the other 15,000, and the number could be increasing? So, you know, it could go up to 1 million over time and in the years to come. So, may I ask him, you long TVET college on life skills to our bulk of our people. There was some higher education policy that talked about rolling out TVET colleges in 1-1 LLG or 1-1 electorate because of this need. What is the status of this policy now? And, you know, Minister, if you can explain to the people of this country, because we must be prepared for this increasing number of energetic, young, but thrown out into the system. That's my first question. What is the status of this policy, and what is your department doing with this one, so we can inform the people of this country? Secondly, at some time ago when the Southern Highlands Teachers College was established in consultation with your department, and also at that time the higher education was also part of the education ministry, we said that Southern Highlands Teachers College that is currently in existence in the Nipo Kurubu electorate was specifically to train TVET teachers and the curriculum, including that college now. And how many more teachers colleges to train TVET colleges? I mean TVET skills for teachers, to prepare our teachers who can teach TVET life skills in those schools that we are talking about in terms of rolling out the TVET institution. I mean, like him, Minister, you can give him some clarity. Is that the only college, or you have other teachers' college training TVET teachers and developing curriculum? I think it's important. We need to deal with this and roll this out properly, because all beginning come out there, it's going to increase over time. So the country must prepare for life skills training to make our people useful in the communities, because it's not only university qualification, or it's not only the formal education. Code is one track we are following. Not everybody have access to code. I think TVET should be given serious consideration by government, and I am happy to ask this question to the good minister. If you want me to put it in writing, I'm prepared to do that. I can sit down with you and get the question to you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Law, Higher Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Governor of Southern Highlands. Good question. This issue where Governor am raising at big picture. You will notice from Education Minister's response, 120,000 students starting school or primary school, and by the time they reach grade 12, 30,000 go through. So what happens to the 90,000? Mkutla challenge where now Minister of Higher Education, Education, Tribal Law solving this issue, so we don't leave the 90,000, everybody goes through. But again, it now poses a big challenge to us at higher education, where we need to immediately close that 15,000 gap where we don't have lit road space to feed in the 30,000 students that graduate every year. And that's where TVET comes in very handy. And I think in relation to the question asked about the number of students that graduate, and of course graduate from grade 12, and those that can go to universities. And another block where slow learners or those that are more hands-on can go through the TVET program. According to MPDP4, it's a requirement that every district must have one TVET each in your districts. And so from our part, we've secured about 300 million kina from ADB, and shortly when we will roll him out, sample all programs for all colleges, TVET colleges in the country. You would have seen this week some tender come out for IT support. And so from our point of view, yes, we are starting that program, but we require or ask for all of you MPs, DSIP or various support that government gives you, at least put in counterpart or starting program 2 on them, one on colleges, because obviously the challenge for us to absorb everyone that comes out of our secondary school is huge. In fact, from our planning, as soon as I took office, we require at least 1.3 billion every year to quickly close that gap, creating more space in our institutions. And of course, that's going to be unrealistic for the government to give us 1.3 billion every year, of course, with all the needs from various sectors. In terms of the Southern Islands Teachers College, I will have to get some response from my department and come back to you, Governor. But I want to thank yourself and Governor for Hela, and I think Minister for Work, some of you that are not just looking for spaces within, but are also looking for spaces abroad and sending your kids to study in overseas universities using your own funds. So while I have this opportunity, you know our plan is space inside our tertiary institutions. But for those of you taking initiative to fund and send your own kids to go and study outside, I want to commend you. So Governor, for Southern Islands and Hela, you too have started by sending over 100 to Parole University in India, and I want to commend both of you in this house. But I'll respond to the other one as soon as I get some more information later on during the week, next week. Thank you.
Honorable Member Blong. Abao.
Thank you, Speaker, and welcome back to your honorable seat. My questions without notice is going to go to the member for lay, our Deputy Prime Minister, and Minister for Lands, Fiscal Planning and Urban Development and Immigration. And I want the Honorable Minister for International Trade and Investment to also take note. I have 3 questions, Honorable Speaker. 2 of them are related to my experience in my own electorate with regards to state land. And the 3rd one is in relation to, I think, all of our experiences with regards to urban land which belongs to customary landowners. With the above experience, I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister, his cabinet, and particularly Honorable Minister for Trade, International Trade and Investment for approving the above Cocoa Lands sugar project. I want to say thank you to the government for that approval for a big investment. For the first time, biggest investment in Abao district, sugar project, in a place called Cocoa Lands in the Cloudy Bay local level government, which is on the Magi Highway. The cabinet established a state negotiating team and was given 4 weeks to go back to cabinet to present negotiations and therefore lead to a project agreement. At this stage, I must say that nothing has progressed, and therefore we are still waiting for the S&T to go back to the minister and therefore to cabinet. One of the issues that the Honorable Minister for International Trade has raised rightfully is the issue of land. And therefore, today my question goes to the Minister responsible for lands, our Deputy Prime Minister. In a letter that I sent to both ministers and the Deputy Prime Minister on Tuesday, I identified 2 portions of land together totaling 4,000 hectares, which is vacant state land. And that's the place where we believe we can start with. However, the investor wants the title to be transferred to the investor to give confidence so that they can also mobilize themselves, sit down with our S&T team and start negotiating the project agreement. I want to request the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, particularly on 2 occasions on the floor of this Honorable House, he mentioned his flagship project, I think Tuhava, which is not far from here, where at that time he did make a public pronouncement that that particular flagship project, Tuhava, was all about giving state title to the original landowners. And therefore, the landowners will then negotiate with the developer, and they are doing very, very well now. And I think that is an excellent model, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, on those 2 portions that I mentioned in the letters that I sent to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for International Trade on Tuesday, would it be possible for us and the Department of Lands to work on those 2 undeveloped portions of vacant state land so that the original landowners can be given the title and then sublease it to the developer? I think that is a truly empowerment process to our people, because we have alienated them through this old land laws that we have inherited from our colonial masters. And so I for one, the first question is, Honorable Speaker, can the Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister look at this request and see whether we could not, because this land has been vacant for more than 30 years. It's a 66-year agricultural lease land. And for your information, in this particular place called Cloudy Bay, I host the biggest rubber estates in the country compared to the new ones that are coming up in Kairuku. And that is because the original landowners gave the land to the state in their belief that the state will be able to look after them at a later time. And so all their land has already been given up. And for some of you who know, in Cloudy Bay, for example, Moreguna, Ianu and Upulima and Kokolens, we have many Papua New Guineans who applied for those block of land for rubber, and they are living there now, 3rd and 4th generations. And so the local people have no land left except the little customary land that they are using for gardening and hunting. And so that's the first question. And I think it is an excellent policy on the part of the Deputy Prime Minister that those identified vacant state land, vacant for a long, long time, and now that development, our investors are looking at investing in our country, and like our sugar project, this will give an opportunity. And on behalf of the customary landowners for this particular project, sugar project, they are willing to mobilize close to 20 to 40,000 hectares of customary land and give it to this. And so that process needs support from the Department of Lands and Fiscal Planning, so we can satisfy the Minister for International Trade and Investment, so he can encourage the investor to not run away but keep looking at that particular project which Cabinet has already sanctioned. The second experience in Abao, Mr. Speaker, is in 2023, the New Britain Palm Oil Company put a newspaper advertisement to sell a big acreage of land in Amazon Bay, a place called Mamai and Eli. Those were steamships, all rubber and coconut plantations. They left a long, long time ago. So when I was Minister for Agriculture, I gave the New Britain Palm Oil that land to grow oil palm so that we connect to the oil palm program in Alotau, so infrastructure can then be developed. However, 3 years ago, the company put an advertisement to sell that state land without any improvements. And so, my question and recommendation to the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, is will you change the law to stop selling vacant state land? Please change the law so that vacant state land remains to the state, and whoever is the holder of the title, if he doesn't develop it, forfeit it. Don't sell it. So make it a law to stop the sale of state land. Because many people are becoming millionaires with this land, particularly UDL land in various towns, and without developing it, even they get forfeiture notices, but they sell it and they run away. They get 10 million, 3 million, 4 million, 2 million. And so make the law, change the law to stop. It is illegal to sell state land if you have not developed it. So that will stop New Britain oil palm to stop selling.
Member for about let the chair will now interrupt you because we have gone beyond the extended time of question time. And if you have to ask your question, can you just go straight and ask those questions, and I'll let the minister to answer your question.
Anyway, that's an example. So my recommendation is if the Deputy Prime Minister can look at the land law and make it illegal to sell state land that is still vacant. The last question, which is closer by here, is those of you who live in NCD, Taurama Valley and Gereka. Many outsiders are having agreements with landowners to say 100 by 100 for 30,000 or 50,000, and the landowners are believing, and those who are buying it are believing that they have already bought the land and it's theirs already. But Mr. Speaker, the Land Act does not allow the sale of customary land. And so my question to the Deputy Prime Minister is, can you and the department make sure that you process and work vigorously to make sure that this so-called sale by customary landowners under a memorandum of agreement change these sales to a long-term lease so that our people in here, NCD, in Ley, in where the towns are, they are not alienated. Because as the towns are growing, their gardening land, hunting land is finished. And so I want an enforcement of what the law says. Nobody must sell customary land. And so if there are memorandum of agreements with landowners from Pari or Tubusereya on a piece of land 100 by 100 and sold to somebody for 50,000, that is not sale. Can the department progress that to long-term lease agreement so that customary landowners have a continuous lease arrangement for their revenue, because as the town grows, they will lose their land. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and welcome back, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much for the series of questions asked by the Honourable Member for Abao, Puka. I will try to explain a little bit. And first of all, the state land that is referred to for the Abao Cocoa Lands sugar project. As government, as you can understand, it is the emphasis of government, Mr. Speaker, that we try to have enough land available so that we can be able to develop, make industries, build new suburbs, and that is what in the last 2 years we've been allocated budgets, and you can see the focus and impetus of the lands department in trying to partner with various landowners to be able to participate in these developments, also to ensure that we acquire customary land, working in close consultation with our customary landowners to make land available for development purposes. Currently, land in Papua New Guinea, we have about 4% of land, the total land mass in Papua New Guinea, about 4% is, Mr. Speaker, available as alienated land, as state leases. And these land is not enough for us to grow our development, because basis of development in our country, you need land for development, build industries, and build new suburbs and such like. For the land in Abau, my good member for Abau, my office is open. I would kindly invite you to come to my office so that we can explore those things, sitting with our good Minister for Foreign Trade and Investment, who is a keen advocate, Mr. Speaker, of looking for land, because he has a lot of opportunities from a lot of businesses and investors that want to work in partnership to assist develop land and build industry on it. For Abau, the 4,000 hectares of land that you have mentioned, that's state land. We will have to check the status of it, state land. And in reference to Tuhava, there's a slight difference between that, Mr. Speaker. Tuhava, it wasn't state land. It was customary land that the landowners themselves, Mr. Speaker, surrendered over 585 hectares that we partnered with. We did not purchase the land. They surrendered the land themselves, working in partnership with a developer and the lands department under its policy to convert state land to ensure that the landowners put in their equity as landowners, and partnering with the developer, we managed to convert their own land, 585 hectares, which is now being developed, Mr. Speaker, into one of the most producing viable project that we've started in my tenure as a lands minister. They are now building close to the first 4,000 houses. Hotel has already started being built on it, and the partnership has worked very, very well, Mr. Speaker. That partnership will contribute to a total income revenue of 1.6 billion between the landowners and the developer, with not one toya from government, except government in its policy, and government in its assistance, and government in the assistance from the direction of the lands department has managed to convert that land into making it bankable, secure land, so that banks can be able to utilize that for mortgage purposes, for development purpose, and give security to the developer so that they can have a lease that they can be able to work on. That is for Tuhava. But for the Abau one, willing to work with you, my good member for Abau, we'll work, sit down together, work out with the trade minister on the first 4,000 hectares. But I welcome the news that there is 30 to 40,000 hectares available, so that we can be able to implement the sugar project for the benefit of our people. Mr. Speaker, I understand if the good Minister for Trade has tried a couple of times to ensure that he visits your electorate under your guidance and leadership, so that the both of you can be able to identify the land, and the both of you be able to sit down and the three of us have a talk to ensure that this project goes ahead. It is, that is for the first one at Abau. For the second one, Mr. Speaker, undeveloped state land. Yes, undeveloped state land by law should not be sold. I agree. That is the law, and it shouldn't be sold, Mr. Speaker. And land, we are bringing forward a couple of various land amendments. Some have already been before Parliament. There is a few more that will come to amend the relevant Land Act, so that we can be able to police this in a much more efficient way. After 5 years, if it is a UDL, it is supposed to be forfeited. And having these electronic titles, Mr. Speaker, and the electronic recording system now will give us more visibility to be able to issue out forfeitures within the time frame, and issue out a cancellation of various titles within the time frame. Because there are different titles. There are UDLs, there are also freehold land that we cannot forfeit, as you quite understand, being a former lands minister, that freehold land cannot be forfeited by the current laws that we have. For Taurama and Gereka, Mr. Speaker, the customary land ownership, Taurama, I understand, was a proposal that was supposed to be key satellite initiative that was supposed to be done before my time. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way it went because of various impediments and the way it was run. So Tarama has become where the landowners decided to sell them without proper planning and proper development and proper physical planning approvals, Mr. Speaker. We're trying to rectify that now with the current laws, and we're also sitting down and talking to the Gereka landowners to ensure that we be able to help them through the lands department, to be able to guide them, to ensure that they do not sell their land willy-nilly, but work in cohesion with the lands department, Mr. Speaker, to assist develop them. Kashmir land for the selling, Mr. Speaker, Kashmir land, ground law 111. You salim ground law, you have minoga right as even the lands minister minoga right law when I'm stop him, you salim decision do you salim, you know, ground law, state alienated land which I have control over. But I concur with the good member for Abao that we need to tighten up the laws that prevent Kashmir land and assist our landowners to be able to look at avenues that is possible for us to assist them so they do not sell their rights willy-nilly. The current laws, foreigners are not supposed to purchase Kashmir land. That is the law, and foreigners are not supposed to purchase Kashmir land. But there are some of our landowners, without knowing about the law and looking for easy accessible funding, has sold a few lands to foreigners. There's also amendments that are being brought into Parliament within the next session that we'll be able to work on. They're currently sitting before the first Legislative Council so that we can be able to fix, tidy up a lot of these land laws that we have had since the 1960s that have not been amended, so we can be able to, one, free up Kashmir land, working in partnership and cohesion with Kashmir landowners, but at the same time giving security of tenure, Mr. Speaker, for developers to come and work, because if they do not have security of tenure, a proper security tenure, one, the banks will not give them bankable titles for mortgages, loans, expansions, and things like this. The other thing is if the Ogala developer all come, all like him, security of tenure and bankable titles, and that is the idea we're working towards the amendments to ensure that we work in cohesion and partnership with the relevant laws to free up Kashmir land, working closely in partnership with the Kashmir landowners, with the signature project that we have started at Tuhava and which is benefiting the landowners. The key thing is the landowners themselves. They need to be united and unified. Too many times we have landowners who do not work in cohesion and do not work closely with the clan to be able to utilize their land properly so that we can be able to assist them in developing their lands in the right way possible. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the good member for Abao, Sepuka, who will join me with the Trade and Foreign Affairs and Trade Minister so that we can be able to assist with the program and develop and assist your people in the Abao area. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, question time and the extended question time has been lapsed. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, good to have you back. Mr. Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Explain the motion. Is leave granted? Leave is granted. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent A, Parliament sitting beyond 1:00 p.m. this day, and B, the Parliament adjourning on a motion to be moved by a minister at any time.
Question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, grievance debate. Nogat grievance debate, Okay, honorable member belong. Yeah, conduct.
Thank you, Speaker. I was thinking that there would be budget and we thought debate.
Honorable member of conduct, budget paper ready all get us, so also na grievance debate. Now, so you can suspend him grievance debate. Na go budget.
Okay.
Time budget and ready. Yeah, I am now.
Okay, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Prime Minister, when a point of order, you.
Budget paper, I'm ready. That's all. You ruling grievance debates on Mr. Little God business I'm talking. 1 o'clock, I'm going to extension of budget account. I will have the budget, I'm ready. Start. You know, ready. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I'm now mixing talk savel Prime Minister also budget and ready finish. But you milarim you, Honorable Member of Kandep, you've been like Sana plenty time, but not this the time you can out him bell heavy blue.
Oh, Speaker, thank you, Mari Blue. You. Yeah, must say. We should put it the same too because budget and big plus something, but thank you for giving us Mari. Grievance below me looking law social media and me like him all young pla, especially those who are on the Facebook, on the laptops and the computers to take note of this when I speak this because there's so much antagonism. So much frustrations caused on the population by what they're doing on the social media against leaders on the floor of Parliament and other leaders in the business sector and in the private, also in the public service sector. And Mr. Speaker, I see that as a very negative trend. We've never seen that. Could have been there in the minds of people but never come out because there was no extensive use of the social media platforms like we see today. Could be, but it is turning on the direction of a very dangerous a trend. For instance, let me be blunt, and probably I am the first to, I'm the best example to use, and then I'll probably mention other leaders. Somebody called me Dopey Donny. Well, I tried to look up in the dictionary to see what Dopey means and what Donny means, because my name is Don, but some young fellow sitting behind a social media writes my photograph. I've got his handsome photograph of me with my cover cap on. He puts it on there, and I'm very happy that I see my face, but in front of it writes in big bold, Dopey Donny. And then another one writes, Dopey Donny Donkey. Well, I sing my song with my grandchildren. Father was a donkey, mommy was a dummy. I do sing those songs. It's funny to me. But then I look at other documents or Facebooks like this floating around, and I see they're mentioning ministers and leaders now. When recently when I saw the Honorable Governor for Enga, Honorable Peter Ipras, when he was nominated by the opposition as a nominee for this the rejected vote of no confidence, and I find so much negative written about him. Not just him. I've seen so much written about Rainbow Paita. Not just him. I've seen written about Alan Bird. And I look on the government side. So much negative written about the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape. Then I see other ministers. About the Deputy Prime Minister, they said, oh, Deputy Prime Minister is walking to the bank with all smiles, he's happy. Mr. Speaker, I'm now saying, what is going on here? So there are people at the back of those leaders who support them against those others who they don't support. They're now antagonizing. They're making each other angry by posting all those statements on the platform. That's very damaging to leaders. That is really fragmenting the solidarity. Should not happen. Should not happen. Leaders are supposed to be respected. There's one attitude of Prime Minister Honorable Marape that I respect. Is that I was not in the caucus yesterday, but when
the governor of Huenga province as a nominee, as an alternative nominee to the seat that he owns. He went to the government caucus, and then he says, I just did it because I volunteered to put my name up. And then the Prime Minister goes, you don't have to apologize. That's enough. You've got the right to do that. I think that's a good spirit. That is the kind of respect that should be given to those leaders who exercise their rights. There should not be hatred. There should not be antagonism. We should not be putting those negative, defamatory statements on leaders on the floor of Parliament. I want young Papua New Guineans to understand this. Probably you're working for one member of Parliament, or for a group of people, or for a government, or for opposition, or for anybody doing that. But what you're doing is destroying the country because you're destroying the leaders that are leading you, leading the nation forward. Another example I've seen is, let me blunt also, the honorable member for Yellow Pangia. He had a family problem, and all of us have family problems. I fight with my wife too, and not that we box, but we argue and we talk. And it's just that I'm lucky that my wife doesn't drag me to the courts. Because my wife is, she's very understanding and probably she's not dragging me to the court. But then I find some leaders, they face some challenges and the wives are different. Then I see people quickly saying, oh, see, you are this, you are that, and they try to go into the family affairs. And I said, those are not good things to do. Because every human being has their fallacies, they've got their failures, they've got their defects. We should try to build each other up, not destroying each other. You look at what the Indians do. Mr. Speaker, the Indians, when you see them in any parts of the world, you go to an Indian town. That's Indian town. You go to Singapore, that's an Indian town. There's a Chinatown also, similarly on the other side. Why? They do the Chinatown or Indian town. Because they support each other. Those that are there in the upper echelon of business or public service, they try to support those that are struggling underneath. They do not badmouth each other. The Chinese do the same thing. The Europeans do the same thing. It's in this country that we try to cut each other out. See, we should not personalize. We should be happy people, supporting one another. The main common goal is that we progress forward as a nation to transform ourselves to become better. So I'd like to ask all those young people who were using those platforms to abort it, if the people were supporting them and helping them to do it by buying flex cards and mobile phones and giving them, I'd like to urge all of us to also stop that. It is very negative. We must be united. We must not be regionalistic. Neither should we be provincialistic. Or we should be supporting ethnicity. No, we should be one. It doesn't matter where you come from. The best of us should be leading this nation. The best. The best must be put in the positions of secretaries and MDs and so forth. The best among Papua New Guineans must be in the front line. So you lift the profile high. But what you're doing now is you bring it so close, so low. You support your own countrymen, your own member of parliament, your own person whom you support, and you now bad-mouthing one another and you antagonizing that person. And what does the other people do? They do against your leader. So every leader here will have supporters at the back who will be now throwing mud at each other. What happens to the people? Will be fragmenting and dividing the people all over the place. Young people, stop this. And if leaders, and if business communities, and if public servants, whoever, supporters are doing this, stop it. Because we must see the common good of Papua New Guineans. Oh, Mr. Speaker, when I see things like this, it really hurts me because there must be love for us to progress forward. You cannot progress a nation with hatred. Hatred cannot progress this country forward. It only decays. Hatred brings to decadency, deterioration, corruption. It destroys. We don't move forward. We must have love, peace, happiness, even in challenging times. Let's be happy. Even when it's so difficult, let's be happy. Even if you're not Christian, just let's be happy. I don't pray as much as you guys do, but I'm always happy at my home. Even if my wife is trying to kill me there because of some mistakes I do, I'm still singing. And she says, oh, well, since when did you go to the church? And we have to be there. But I see so much hatred floating around everywhere, Mr. Speaker. And in this grievance debate, it's my grief that what we see young people using media platform to do is destroying unity, it's enhancing fragmentation, and it's creating hatred among leaders and people. We must be united with a good cause to serve our people, and I ask people to abort bad-mouthing, writing bad stuff like Doffy Donny on all his platforms. It doesn't do anybody any good. And let's respect every family too. You can be a wife basher. You can be this. On a parliament, we should set an example, of course. We must not bash our wives. We must not have those. Of all of us, I believe that our family is number one priority. Family must be number one priority. Yourself and your wife, number one priority. Then the electorate you serve, then the people of Papua New Guinea. Cannot work the other way around.
Honourable Member Kandep, I will have to interrupt you because your time is lapsed.
Okay, I conclude. I like to urge that let's not use the platform to destroy one another. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for North Fly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bitu luk sawe lo sasai lo Kimbe lo you. Namile contribute lo debate. But before the debate lo me, Mr. Speaker, me work as a observation where in line with member for Kimbe is that on this floor house where everybody is watching, and when the camera zooms down very closely to each one of us here, I make a humble appeal to every one of us. Don't sleep. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't sleep. And when you sit up, you must sit up straight. Don't look down like this because they're zooming down and they're cropping and they're saying this member is sleeping. And they're going to use that against you in election. I'm just letting you know so. Let's be fixed. Get this fixed up right. Don't sleep. You are here paid not to come and sleep. So we are paid to do job. We are paid not to sleep in this house.
Yeah, talking about.
Thank you. That's with that. Let me put my grievance debate. I stood here many times to raise this as a question without notice to the Prime Minister. But unfortunately, I stood many times yesterday, day before yesterday, today too. No, I want to look some of chair too. I was a Deputy Speaker, sorry, no, you are Deputy Speaker. So this is in relation to a controversial project. It come up from Western Province. Now this is agroforestry project agreement. Prime Minister is announcing on the date 29th of October. Western Province development has been come up. And I want the Minister for Forestry and the Minister for Commerce to take note because it's a very, very controversial project. Only been announcing, only come the NEC, only approving, not only giving permit. Talk alright, Lord, this like investor, name the wall, and this a company, or call him Independent Timbers, Independent Timbers and Steve Dorrance Limited, ITNS. Government passing talk one time this company long acquiring also 2 million hectares of land only by starting long legally place or calling Dream Gas. Dream Gas and one Awin top place long close to lo Kiunga but only joining lo this half lo electoral lo me na come finish start lo Gulf province. Only kissing this agreement lo passing also Bamigla developing ground do you? Kiss him 2 plus side 5 kilometer, 5 kilometer. Now building nice plus sea road do you? Putting bridge. Now making plenty walk. Come also connecting Gulf province. And it brings a lot of issues. Now as I speak, plenty of Papa ground only sit down on top of gallery. Plenty only look staff, plenty companies of Port Moresby, plenty protests. Plenty come through of Mibla, all members of parliament. Now, how this project come up? Plenty story is the background where Nabami story more. Through you, Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister is very aware
I'm a senior minister. Back then, Habas Plagaman, he come. And many of you ministers sit down here. You've lost our yet know this controversial project. He come underneath the one name of calling SABA. Lord, back then, 10 years ago, this black company, ITNS, I mean, go scam him. Scam him, this the same heart, I mean, like he's in ground. Lord, make the same war. Now, government, lo PNG, na Western Province, man, me like rush him, only go back. Now, only go long, have lo kind can have, only sim court order, only like sue him state. That's all state, he win him court law, Plenty Road. Now, only rush him, go. As of today, this company hasn't even paid one single legal fee where only loose Logan come back to state. Again, these same people, ITNS company, it come underneath a different name game, different set, same man but wearing different name, different code, different idea, different branding. Now I'm come back, now call him same government game. Now me talk about, please you give me this permit, you will give this level me. No worries, but me make him also promising road, bridges, everything, and promising heaven and earth, you can name it. Now convince him. Now money figure I'm talking about, I'm billion, 4.8 billion. In the funding budget for the country. Now only to be stupid by the cabinet, if I may offend all of you cabinet members here, you found fit to approve this project. Whoever brought the submission, we don't know, because the forest department, I mean, no somewhere.
Oh, please. What am now here?
Because the provincial forest municipal authority.
Honorable member will not play. You make a point of order. Mr. Prime Minister, want a point of order, please.
Mr. Speaker, for the learned second-term member of Parliament to use borderline language insulting cabinet is improper. Cabinet is not stupid. Cabinet is not governed by just a cabinet on the spur of moment. These papers take time, take process. The inter-government departments that funnel this process up, any paper that comes to cabinet eventually has the seal of authority from the state solicitor. So the member must not give impression to the country and people watching that cabinet are imbeciles or stupid sitting inside just picking papers from nowhere. Far from it. The entire process funnel all the papers through cabinet. The young member must mind his word in the insult to the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Prime Minister, point of order, you know, the honorable member, you try and sensitively talk with him. Point blue stop, but you sensitively talk with him, no. Make him this talk, you come clear.
Thank you. Me apologize for that, but through you, Speaker, you have been talking Prime Minister, me no young Prime Minister, remember? Me leader, talking man.
No.
Yeah. Me no young Prime man, me mark him leader, blow, people blow not flying, and me stop with me.
I'm now.
So long as I come to say nothing lawyers. So me talking you that's. So all in all, but to rebuttal to the Prime Minister, it's very evident that the key two ministers, Commerce and Forestry, if I may admit here, only to us, me don't know this law. When I did a background due diligence. So how do you deny? I mean, place clear here. Plant your cabinet minister, me working, check around only to place clear for this.
You make another point of order again, honorable member. So, honorable minister, want a point of order, please.
Thank you, Speaker. I think members should harim finish also. This paper and control NEC. And Prime Minister made it clear. Minister for Commerce, Minister for Forest, Minister for Agriculture, we were all there. All the ministers were there. Part of NEC, and the paper came through NEC process. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member.
Thank you. If only if I'm a very stupid guy, I would be not debating. But to be frank, to be honest, to place on record people of North Fly or RM staff, or Papa Ground, only Look staff, people of Middle Fly, people of Delta Fly, and in fact the people of South Fly, only Harib staff. There is no permit issue. So how do you go and launch and agree and say, go to develop it? As I speak today, there's an investor emi kisim helicopter roll lo ligli kanaka place lo kisim consent. Na provincial finance management, provincial forest FCA only know someone of this plan. They didn't give talk all right. Only to give talk all right. Which the governor himself, he made a mockery out of it.
You mean that narrow point of order? Honorable member will not fly. Honorable member will not fly. Now, honorable member will not fly. Now, yeah, you know how Mama slowly calling me one blood name, but now me hiring from the chair you talk, long man is an up here. So by you withdrawing this statement.
Thank you, me withdraw it, thank you.
Honorable Governor of Western, when a point of order,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Law, this claim issue in Western Province now. I'm carrying the floor of Parliament. So, me things I'm right them, but can't work a grievance debate them here. So, I was saying the issue one time me. You me carry will assembly blow me Western by me talk where I have no line of people blow me stuff. So law I'm no carrying come to Parliament now. After taking Parliament now, calling all man. I mean, all right. Because I'm here, I'm talking. I'm here talking to me, Lord man, me walking to him. Let him come deal one time the assembly blow me the place. Thank you, true.
Honorable Governor, point of order blow you by outlick. We got this right law out in Bell heavy on Bell no Hamamas blowing inside of this laws because I met concerning people blowing in this country. But me asking can honorable member belong not fly. No, you continue long. No, Bell heavy blow you.
So thank you, Mr. Speaker. Me talk about place clear also people of Western Province suppose you are in stop. You know got permit only issue him. How only kisim this like igona. Now yet man Maria only long stop helicopter kuna na talking more sign him consent. You go come na even only come up plus kanaka blow me too. Na me too me baba ground too. Na house man blow me too you know sawe. Na all man lo kiunga na all gonna have to only protest round. As I speak they are now seeking redress. Put him stop on this plan. So I am appealing in this debate through you speaker lo talking on some this a project and is scam. All man same man me bla Rosimol as a state me bla Rosimol lo how much play ego finish only come back again lo same name before me bla Rosimol lo SABL now only come again lo agroforestry again now come in na calling you again. Germany you again. No, Pakistan state. Also, promise you must about tariff investment 4.8 billion kina coming out of the country.
Honorable member, she interrupted me now. Time blow you belong. Out in grievance blow you. Me finish.
Give me 5 minutes, please.
No God, them by no God now because 5 billion me like give him narban, but you me go budget. Point of order and part long debate. So you may not give him excuse for point of order. You will all get us again point of order. So, honorable member, you conclude him.
Thank you. Look, in a summarized form, me by incorporating debate statement, blow me about me giving through law, you na by start the record law house. Thank you.
Thank you. Ask him. Honorable Governor of Western Province.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before Sia Emilarim Emi make him this like grievance long end, me like talk savel Honorable House or Sem. Ember last from Mandus, you will already expecting budget to come down behind long and finish by you go low budget. Thank you. Honorable Governor of Western.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Give me time law. Okay, grievance debate, Lomi. Actually, I had a different issue to discuss here, but since member of Lomi Western, now brother Lomi am attacking on the project where project government Lomi initiative. But me just give him some la. Tintin past time now, okay, beyond Migolo.
story we mila go kimlem.
When I'm point of Honorable Governor Blonga.
Sorry, me no na I remember also na me ask him something I think you know glitch ken.
Okay, all I know inside so you Harim stop Honorable Governor Blo ECB kem ya peaceful in a walk.
Oh, this one.
I'm walk. Honorable Governor, you had long grievance for you.
Thank you, through Speaker, give me time. On the something me like talk out the it's the project. I mean, on the scam as they call it. Suppose you call him scam, you can define what is scam. Now, time you define him scam, lo me, suppose all come now, talk. Me like you see money blue law. Okay, the project, okay, feasibility study na. Some something at behind. All the money now go now, no come work. So it's a project. I'm almost starting last day. Me na brother, me na can have a place and no got rot. All I know place hard work rot. Even Octarium staff for the last 48 years. In no got rot go place plan. Me start backside the place plan na. The place for me no got na rot stuff. So all I know place, all the man of place, all yet like Piney Road, Logi Road, go place plan. So they themselves initiated this project, not when I was the governor, but at that time when other people in office. Time is still school yet. And they initiated it until 2011 or signing agreement with the state. Sometimes in May, the time Mr. School or some lab. Now time like mobilize, now start the project. Some line one can all man got one continuous and got them. They went and they call a project a scam project. At that time it was under the policy, government policy at the time, any led government, all call him all initiatives like SABL project. So something similar happened, now I'll go through the court. There was a big inquiry like rightfully the time problem. But after the inquiry, let me correct him. The project proponents and their lease was never terminated. So was you go to courthouse, now you check your record, please, bikes your record, please, the lease was not terminated. Unfortunately, because of the inquiry, these investors were all been stopped backside, they were scared away. They had to wait from 2011 to 2018 when the SABL inquiry was finally cleared, which cleared them as well. So all wait gone on up so. They were all around where. So when the environment was conducive for them to come back again.
Okay, you got point of order, Honorable Governor. Honorable when a point of order, please.
My good governor, through your speaker, Noga Wambla SABL inquiry clearing more record is the place clear. Now all still man never cleared at all. He's just lying this house. What we know is they tried to run away, they get a court order. They wanted to come back aggressively to sue the state, but sue defend him, not knock him all off. So they lost and they went back and they came back as a form of agroforestry. Law, cut him the why, now walking, did him not walk. So what are we saying? All you know, no license, no permit, me give him. So no can consign a gammon in this house.
So point of order, you'll same honorable member, me no nap sabe with the talking me through or talking me through. So me no nap rule this la point. I'm you to debate na melo itla now. So milare Governor Blow Western, you can out him grievance for you.
Thank you, through Speaker. Also, thank you, through Speaker. Also, I'm talk. I'm something low Western, so you me carrying no place na talk. We have facts na figures and stuff then. But since you me carry come no, yeah, I'm wrong now.
Okay, I'm last flap point of order.
Thank you.
Honorable member, not fly. That's a point of order. When a point of order.
Western Province is 98,000 square kilometers and is part of Papua New Guinea.
Ah,
Am I right?
man.
So is you block Western Province is Papua New Guinea and this is the right house.
Thank you.
Be correct.
Document.
Honorable Governor of Western.
Yes. This is a court case I'm talking about. Time will investor or come. They wanted to invest and they had a live agreement in place. Now this is an inquiry, honestly inquiry, I'm coming said no. This is an agreement there, I'll challenge him. Which he is correct. Now Sam, something to talk straight.
Yes.
So these are investors here. All come as a group. So now where all is supporting court case, all losing case now go. Now the group all not supporting court case now down the Papa ground na country. All come back na supporting country na supporting government na work project na one time on Papa ground. So there are two different group inside of the line all been come one time to come invest. So the people who wanted to come and invest, who had a local agreement in place with the landowners, all come back now. Now they want to come and work with the national government and the provincial government and the landowners, and they want to come and invest. On that note, it is not just a forestry project. It's a foreign direct investment for the country. So they had to consult relevant departments of the country, not only forestry. So all come through at the time, all come through law. In the absence of the current one official calling me a Middle Indian game. So they came through commerce, that commerce department became the line department. State NJJ where me come through them. And Department of Commerce and Industry has been the lead agent in this project as a foreign direct investment. And they've done relevant consultations through all the government departments, including Department of Works, National Forest Authority.
Honorable Opposition Leader, when a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, point of order, I'm seeing our team all NABLA agencies, including forest. Mr. Speaker, before you go and clear any forest or want something, you have to go through the forest board to give you an FCA. FCA. My good governor, to you, Mr. Speaker, process, you play no complete team. That's the reason why this talk will come. From the provincial government direct to NEC. You play finishing process good. Consultation. You play no working good. That's why chopper will fly and go inside. Forest, I'm talking Mipla, FCA is not being granted yet. So how about you go inside a cutting forest? That's my point of order, Kamlo you.
Thank you, Honorable Opposition Leader. Now you may make in Parliament some courthouse now. So me no like looking Parliament in my place from court, but you mean on a court. So by me talk also from the chair, Honorable Member will not fly. You really concern the people blame you have na desla. Na Honorable Governor of Western, government blame is stop. Nongo dito bla must go on work one time for the best interest of our people. Na lo desla kain you may come the house, desla house na you may cross by the go come na. You mean no work one time. No interest for all people blame him no right. Na me no like a map or some judge or some speaker is tabian they bla looking me or some judge na long scaling go come. So by me la now 1 o'clock finish. Na me like ask him the solve from the chair that suppose you to block two block good leader blame me now the normal leader have come work one time one government na help him all people blame me now. And by me ask him leader of opposition. I suspend him grievance debate because you may like come no budget. So me ask him leader of government business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Is leave granted? Leader of government business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent the Minister for Treasury to A, presenting the 2025 budget and associated bills, and B, the appropriation General Public Service Expenditure 2025, Bill 2024, appropriation National Parliament 2025 Bill of 2024, and appropriation for Judiciary Services 2025 Bill 2024 being presented together and debated as one and separate, and C, and the separate questions being put on their second and third readings.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, before me ask him, Minister or Treasurer, long hand him down budget, lo yumi, me got legally talk sabe the solo make him long. All the honorable members. I stay blano looking me stop. And Medeng Teachers College only asking me lo attending graduation long. Medeng Teachers College me established lo 1963 #1 Teachers College lo country lo Papua New Guinea. And as time went by, Medeng Teachers College has been the only teachers college underneath lo government lo Papua New Guinea. All the Narva Teachers College now lo country, and all lo mission, church agencies now private na display. Bel have all giving me a stand and me talk, me mark him, all the members lo parliament lo come. Long you plan lo tete. Na all sem na heavy blah ma mi karim na mi tok savel parliament. Honorable Prime Minister, likely when I'm lo ask him, mi holy Mr. Law Office, behind you me finish, but me give him lo you na you give him lo treasurer, na all lion, all you can look lo heavy. The only teachers college lo country where I'm beginning lo ngapa. 60 years now. Na plan di lo teacher go out lo country. I'm only teaching you me plan di sit down lo here. Na member of parliament. Na plan di only go finish. So one time this plan, me ask him, treasurer, Mr. Clark, honorable members, I wish to announce that I have received the following messages from His Excellency the Governor General dated 29 November 2024. A message recommending the expenditure of public monies of Papua New Guinea in accordance with Section 210 of the Constitution insofar as the appropriation General Public Service Expenditure 2025, Bill 2024, relates to and provides for such expenditures. And B, a message recommending the expenditure of public monies of Papua New Guinea in accordance with Section 210 of the Constitution, insofar as the appropriation National Parliament 2025, Bill 2024 relates to and provides for such expenditure. And C, a message recommending the expenditure of public monies of Papua New Guinea in accordance with Section 210 of the Constitution, insofar as the appropriation Judicial Services 2025 Bill 2024 relates to and provides for such expenditure. Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I present the Appropriation General Public Services Expenditure 2025 Bill 2024.
Appropriation National Parliament 2025 Bill 2024 and Appropriation Judiciary Services 2025 Bill of 2024.
Mr. Clerk.
First readings, Appropriation General Public Services Expenditure 2025 Bill 2024. A bill for an act to appropriate out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund a sum for the general public service for operational and capital investment expenditure and debt amortization for the year ending 31 December 2025. 2. Appropriation National Parliament 2025 Bill 2024. First reading, a bill for an act to appropriate out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund a sum for the National Parliament for operation and capital expenditure for the year ending 31 December 2025. 3. Appropriation Judiciary Services 2025 Bill 2024. First reading, a bill for an act to appropriate out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund sums for the Judiciary Services operational and capital expenditure for the year ending 31 December 2025.
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bills be now read together a second time.
Deliver your speech.
Mr. Speaker, today I introduce the 2025 budget, the 6th annual budget, or if we include 5 supplementary budgets, our 11th budget presented to this House. A 28,357 million budget, 980 million kina, larger than the 2024 budget of 27,377 million kina. Revenues will total 25,408 million kina, 2,014 million more than the 2024 budget of 23,394 million kina. And because revenues are growing much faster than expenditures, the budget deficit reduces by another 1,035 million kina in 2025, down to 2,949 million kina. Our budget deficit has fallen from 8.9% of GDP back in 2020 down to just 2.2% of GDP in 2025. Only 1/4 the level in just 5 years. Our debt sustainability continues to improve, with the debt to GDP ratio dropping down to 47.4% in 2025. No matter what the opposition claims, this is genuine budget repair, built on the back of hard, responsible, responsive, caring work by the Marape Rosso government, keeping on the path to a surplus by 2027 and the option for the next Parliament to start repaying all of our debts by 2034. 2024 in retrospect or looking back? Mr. Speaker, 2024 was a tough year. A tough start for our businesses with the January 10 lootings. A tough time for political stability, weaponizing our vote of no confidence provisions, underpinned by a confused and divided opposition that culminated in a lottery or 7 bomkas, picking 6 or 7 candidates for alternative prime minister when we all knew the end game would always be the other guy. And a tough time for law and order in our country. The 22 deaths in our 10th of January riots, massacres in Wapanamanda and East Sepik, the Mulitaka landslide where several hundred died as reported by the United Nations, our unacceptably high levels of domestic violence, our sorcery killings. These realities of 2024 bring great sadness to my heart. The stories of deadly tribal fighting and other violence makes me weep. It makes our country weep. But out of our tears, we must take actions. Securing Papua New Guinea through our police, defence force and judiciary. Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget is based on the theme of securing PNG in 2025 and beyond. The centrepiece for this year's budget is the police budget. Mr. Speaker, we had a headline in the national newspaper on the weekend stating, and I quote, "Police asked for 700 million kina." The good news, the 2025 budget gives the police more than they have asked for. We will give them a 19% increase in wages, so they are able to grow the force to 10,000 by 2030. We have increased their goods and services budget to 158.6 million kina, an extraordinary increase of 67% in just 1 year. Enough monies to fund fuel for their vehicles, stationery to prepare court cases, and support for special operations. The capital budget is 200 million kina as they requested. Police will be given top priority in other areas of cross-agency funding, such as retirement funding. This is a good budget for our police. We want our police forces to understand from this budget that the Marape Rosso government stands alongside you and your vital work. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, backing up the police forces in times of crises can be our defence force. In this security-focused budget, we have increased their wages budget by 15%. We have increased their goods and services budget by an extraordinary 32%, and the capital budget by an even more extraordinary 116%. We are also standing beside our Defence Force as they undertake yours and my vital work in providing security to our country. Security requires much more than the work of our police and Defence Force. If someone is arrested, we need a well-funded judiciary to help ensure accusations of crimes come quickly before the courts. We want justice delivered swiftly, leading to resolving tensions. Operational funding for the judiciary has been increased by 25%. Securing PNG with a focus on growth and jobs. Growth and jobs. Mr. Speaker, securing PNG must extend beyond physical security. We want to address the underlying causes by lifting living standards and creating jobs through strong economic growth. Mr. Speaker, I must first provide two cautious reflections before discussing some good news. First, I know that on average, our people have lower standards of living than in 2012. From 2012, our people were driven down a deep economic hole. Living standards had dropped by 11% on average by 2018. We are now climbing out of this deep hole, and it will take much more than just 6 years. The positive economic news in this budget says we are only halfway back out of this deep hole. This is the real price of bad economic management. We know our people are doing it tough, absolutely. We must all continue to work even harder. They are still worse off than they were in 2012. Even with record growth rates, it will take until 2029 to climb out of the hole we inherited. And simply back to where we started in 2012. Of course, our people are feeling the pain of still being in this economic hole, and we all must help. But at least we know that we are now better off than we would have been if we stayed with the other guy. With a declining economy, with falling jobs, and with a quadrupling of debt, at least we are now being supported to climb back out of this hole. The second caution is for members of the opposition. The editor of the Post-Courier and much of social media. There is a venomous negativity in so much that is put forward. And today, can I urge all of you, all of us, to consider the implications this has on our security. We need an opposition that holds government to account. Absolutely. But if you just focus on the glass half empty, continue with your hell-bent talking down of our economy, failing to provide a balanced discussion to include our many, many positive developments, you are helping stir social discontent. We must be responsible and accurate in the way we talk and present information. We must be mindful of our shared responsibility as leaders so that we all contribute positively to nation building. A strong economy helps build economic security. Mr. Speaker, with those two cautious reflections, let me now spell out some facts. let me focus on PNG's real economic growth rate in the non-resource economy. This is just 72% of our economy that most affects our people. Real growth, so excluding inflation, of 4.2% in 2021, 5.9% in 2022, 4.7% in 2023, 4.5% in 2024, and 5.2% projected for next year. This is the first time in our history we have ever had 5 years in a row of real growth in the non-resource economy of over 4% a year. This is what is helping get us out of this economic hole. And with Papua LNG and other major resource projects heading towards final investment decisions in 2025, there is an expected upside to this already historically high growth performance. Our overall economy, including the resource sector and including price increases, is expected to grow from 124 billion in 2024 to 137 billion in 2025. We are well on target to meet the Prime Minister's objective of reaching a 200 billion economy by 2030, and a 300 billion economy by 2035, and a 1 trillion economy by 2048. Securing PNG through assisting families with cost of living pressures. Mr. Speaker, as I mentioned earlier, while these are very encouraging figures for economic growth, the Marape Rosso government understands why households are experiencing tough times, especially on food prices. Food prices are 50% higher than they were 10 years ago. Today, let me announce that the 2025 budget builds on the historic household assistance support packages of 1,637 million kina over the last 3 years. In 2025, we will continue with the school project subsidies that benefits an estimated 2.3 million students around our country. We will continue the 20,000 tax-free threshold with up to an extra 63 kina per fortnight in pay packets. We will lift the stamp duty exemption threshold for first home buyers from 500,000 to 700,000 kina. We will freeze the biannual indexation of excise on tobacco products and alcohol. We will also deliver on our promises to reduce GST on key household goods. The IRC says their new GST monitoring systems will allow for no GST to be charged when buying essential goods from a target date of 1st of July 2025. The initial plan is for this measure to extend through to 30th of June 2026, and we will consider extending it further as part of the 2026 budget. Mr. Speaker, let me be more specific. When you go to your supermarket checkout from 1st of July 2025, assuming if our GST monitoring system is up and running, on rice, no more GST. On chicken, no more GST. On tin meat, no more GST. On tin fish, no more GST. On tea and coffee, biscuits, noodles, flour, cooking oil, no more GST. On women's sanitary products, an essential health item for our women, no more GST. On soap, baby diapers for you, no more GST. In total, another 685 million in support to our struggling families and households. Over the 4 years since the Ukraine-Russian war led to surging international prices, we are delivering 2,322 million kina to households, doing more than any other government in our history to help Papua New Guineans and to deal with inflation and the rising cost of food. The Marape Rossa government is a caring government. Securing PNG through capital investments. Mr. Speaker, the 2025 Public Investment Program will once again invest record levels into building the infrastructure essential for securing our children's future. A PIP budget of 7,617 million kina. A PIP budget that is 273% larger than the miserable 2,041 million invested by the former government in 2018. These infrastructure investments are changing lives. We've all seen the videos of joy as these roads boldly go where no roads have gone before. There are many facts to confirm these impacts in terms of kilometres of new roads, or better maintained roads, or rural bridges. Let me take a personal example. We have just completed a road from the New Island Coastal Highway up to the Lelet Plateau. Our women farmers can now more easily get their vegetables down to the markets in the Matnai, in Kimbe, including the Lear Gold Mine. This is transforming lives, creating jobs and lifting incomes. The Marape Rossa government is the infrastructure government. Securing PNG through essential services. Mr. Speaker, we want quality education and better quality health care. We are securing PNG with massive investments in education of 4,435 million kina, a 12% increase. We are also securing Papua New Guinea with massive investments in health of 2,768 million kina, a 9.4% increase. In conclusion, securing Papua New Guinea in 2025 and beyond. Mr. Speaker, we have shed too many tears due to violence. This is not what our forefathers dreamt of as we enter our 50th independence anniversary year. This budget marks a turning point, a real focus on building the security necessary for creating the future our children deserve. Standing by our police and defence forces with record levels of support, record levels of funding for the judiciary, to our health workers, for our teachers, securing Papua New Guinea with a 2,322 million kina household assistance package, including removing GST at the supermarket checkout on 13 essential items, securing our country through record levels of targeted infrastructure investment, securing PNG with historic levels of economic growth, and securing our country with continued implementation of our budget repair plan that remains on track to deliver a budget surplus by 2027, and when we can start paying down our debt. This budget provides the framework for starting to make life better for our people in the next 50 years. This framework must now be converted by all in this House, by all of our public servants, and ultimately by all of our people into practical implementation. For our 50th anniversary, let us all commit to do better, to meet the aspirations of our people. The 2024 budget is a very good starting point. Mr. Speaker, I wish to convey a very warm and Merry Christmas to all members of the House before we rise, and I commend the 2025 budget to the Parliament. Thank you.
The Honourable Shadow Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debates on the appropriation bills be adjourned and made orders of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
I'll just do the title.
Excise Tariff 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I present the Excise Tariff 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to amend the Excise Tariff Act, Chapter 107.
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes amendments to 1. Freeze the annual excise rate indexation for alcohol and Tier 1 tobacco products for a period of 12 months. The freeze will be effective as of 1st of December 2024 and ends on 30th of November 2025. 2, change the current methodology used when calculating the second-tier tobacco quota. The methodology will now be based on 50% of the combined actual sales of the main Tier 1 and Tier 2 tobacco products from the previous year. This measure will be effective on 1st of December 2024. 3, introduce excise tax on e-cigarettes and the tobacco sticks designed for use in e-cigarettes at the rates of 20 kina per milliliter and 400 kina per kilogram, respectively. This is to enhance regulation on the consumption of the e-cigarette products in PNG. And 4, an administrative measure insert the World Customs Organization Harmonized Systems Amendments to headings 8701 to 8704 in the excise schedule. These include hybrid electric, plug-in hybrid, all electric motor vehicles, partial and fully electrical heavy-duty vehicles, and hybrid vehicles that emit less pollutants and environmentally friendly than the fuel-consuming vehicles. A 10% excise duty will apply on hybrid vehicles and zero rating for the fully electrical vehicles. Mr. Speaker, I commend the bill.
The Honourable Shadow Minister Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
This 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Minister of Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I present the Goods and Services 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to amend the Goods and Services Act 2003.
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker, the bill proposes amendments to 1. Introduce the authority to operate a Goods and Services Tax Monitoring System, or GMS, that will improve transactional data collection to improve tax compliance and enforcement. It will also help ease the compliance burden on taxpayers and provide better insight into data submitted to the government via IRC. Regulations will be consequently introduced, prescribing, setting out the technical guidance relating to the system. 2, to authorize the issuance of a gazettal notice to temporarily zero-rate GST on basic foods and household items. This is a measure to enable the government to address the cost of living pressures. 3, increase the threshold under which the Commissioner General may extend the taxable period of a taxpayer, consequentially reducing their filing frequency. This will help ease both the compliance and administrative burden on taxpayers as well as the government through IRC. The threshold is being increased from 625,000 to 1.5 million kina. Number 4, increase the penalty for non-compliance with Section 65(8) notice. The recent rollout of the Section 65(8) notice to collect goods and services tax, GST, at source has been quite a successful initiative for the government. However, there have been a number of recipients of the notice who have blatantly failed to comply with the notice. As a compliance measure, these amendment increases the existing penalty fee for non-compliance from $5,000 to $50,000. kina. 5, and the last one, reduce the time frame for claiming a GST refund. The current law provides for a period of 8 years through a phased approach over 4 years beginning in 2026, and allow taxpayers who notify the IRC of their claims in the specified period to be able to claim refunds. The current 8-year period has potentially allowed for fraudulent refund claims where a taxpayer believes they have a refund. They should be able to substantiate it and claim it within a reasonable period. The current 8-year period is unreasonably long and provides an opportunity for fake invoices to be produced. The time frame is reduced down to 4 years over a phased approach of 4 years beginning in 2026. Mr. Speaker, I commend the bill.
Shadow Minister of Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Income Tax 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I present the Income Tax 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to amend the Income Tax Act 1959 and for related purposes.
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes amendments, 3 amendments. One, increase the first homeowner exemption threshold from 400,000 to 700,000 to align with the current property market prices in PNG. 2, capture recommendations consistent with the Base Erosion and Profit Shifting Action 13 plan on our country-by-country reporting standards and inclusion for penalty for non-compliance. 3, allow income tax exemptions for all NRL players and international staff, sunsetted or to expire after 10 years to meet the agreement with the NRL so that PNG gets an NRL team. This exemption will expire unless extended in 2036. Mr. Speaker, I commend the bill.
Shadow Minister of Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
Question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Income Tax, Salary or Wages Tax Rates 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I present the Income Tax, Salary or Wages Tax Rates 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to amend the Income Tax, Salary or Wages Tax Rates Act 1979.
Minister of Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes 1, a correction to formally remove the 22% tax bracket from the non-resident tax tables to complement earlier government policy decisions and intent. 2, to exempt superannuation withdrawal by retirees from salary and wages on those employees who have worked for 15 years or more. 3, permit the Internal Revenue Commission to issue the relevant fortnightly tax tables that factor in the dependent rebate calculations to be now issued administratively. Mr. Speaker, I commend the bill.
The Shadow Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Income tax, dividend withholding tax and interest withholding tax rates 2025 budget amendment bill 2024.
Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I present the income tax, dividend withholding tax and interest withholding tax rates 2025 budget amendment bill 2025.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to amend the Income Tax, Dividend Withholding Tax and Interest Withholding Tax Rates Act, Chapter 111.
Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes a correction to formally remove the 22% tax bracket from the non-resident tax tables. It does not introduce or impose any new tax policy changes. Mr. Speaker, I commend the bill.
Shadow Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Stamp Duties 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I present the Stamp Duties 2025 Budget Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to amend the Stamp Duties Act, Chapter 117.
Mr. Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes amendments to increase and align the stamp duty free threshold for first-time home buyers with the Citizen Employee First-Time Home Buyer Scheme from 500,000 to 700,000 kina. This is to adjust and align with current property market prices in PNG. This supports home ownership and reduces the financial burden on first-time home buyers. The rationale behind these proposed amendments are rooted in the need for an up-to-date policy framework that accurately represents the current real estate market conditions. The last adjustments made were in 2011. They were appropriate at the time, but property values and construction costs have continued to rise significantly since then. So by raising the threshold for both the Citizen Employee First-Time Home via scheme and the stamp duty concession to 700,000. We ensure that these policies remain relevant and effective in providing support to citizens looking to enter the housing market. Mr. Speaker, I commend the bill.
The Shadow Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Papua New Guinea Fiscal Responsibility Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read. Mr. Speaker, I present the Papua New Guinea Fiscal Responsibility Amendment Bill 2024.
Mr. Clerk.
First reading, a bill for an act to amend the Papua New Guinea Fiscal Responsibility Act 2006.
Minister of Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be now read a second time.
Make your speech.
Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes to amend the interim debt ceiling currently for this year from 57.5% down to 55% as part of our ongoing efforts to quickly restore debt back to pre-COVID levels.
Shadow Minister for Treasury.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the debate be adjourned. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Parliament do now adjourn until Tuesday, 3rd December 2024 at 10 a.m.
Honourable members, the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, Parliament is now adjourned to Tuesday, 10 o'clock a.m.
Continuo